Hello everybody, it is Jade back with another video, and today we are continuing our cryptid series with California and the Dark Watchers. So without further ado, let's get right into the story. Alright, so the Dark Watchers are these tall, dark figures that people have spotted in the rural mountains of California, but people will be like, they'll see these figures that are staring at them, and then seconds later they just disappear, like into thin air. They're just gone. They appear between late afternoon and twilight in the Santa Lucia Mountains, and witnesses from Native American and American writers have reported seeing these figures lingering on the mountaintops, and they just seem to watch. They don't really do anything, they just watch. The San Lucia Mountains stretch along the California coast, up through San Luis Obispo County. In the early days of California, they presented a challenge to the Spanish explorers who were making their way to the ocean. As these explorers made their way up the mountains, in the 1700s, they reported seeing these dark figures and named them let's see if I can say this, Los Vigilantes Oscuros, which means the Dark Watchers. Later, as American settlers were making their way over the mountains, they too reported sightings of seeing these watchers from above. These figures are said to be very tall humanoid entities that range from 7 feet tall all the way to 15 feet. And they're dressed in all black cloaks that are very flowing. And they also are seen wearing wide-brimmed hats, with many sightings also mentioning some sort of strapes or sticks in their hands. The facial features are not typically seen, and these creatures are almost always silent. They just stand there and watch. And they're usually seen at a distance up on the ridges, and they don't usually get up close and personal with these people. They just kind of quietly look over, watching the valleys below, and there's not really a known purpose of why they just vanish with the blink of an eye. Especially, they do that especially when people are trying to get closer to them. Like, it's like they don't want people to know too much about them or something. The California legends say that they are a group of migratory entities that stalk travelers along their mountain range, and they have exceptional hearing and incredible eyesight, and they are said to reveal themselves only to travelers while carrying simple possessions like hats and walking sticks instead of high-tech equipment. They don't like to show themselves to people with like high-tech cameras that could capture them. These figures have even made their way into some literature. Author John Steinbeck mentions the Watchers in his short story called Flight. Here's a little excerpt. Pepe looked suspiciously back every minute or so, and his eyes sought the tops of the ridges ahead, Steinbeck wrote. Once, on a white, barren spur, he saw a black figure for a moment, but he looked quickly away, for it was one of the Dark Watchers. No one knew who the Watchers were, nor where they lived, but it was better to ignore them, and never show interest in them. They did not bother one who stayed on the trail and minded his own business. Steinbeck, the author, his mother, Olive Hamilton, was also a believer in Dark Watchers, and she used to talk about her days as a young teacher riding through the woods on her way to teach her classes, and she told him that she would see the Watchers several times a day and even traded with them. She left them gifts of fruit, nuts, and flowers in a shaded alcove near Mule Deer Canyon, and she received gifts from the Watchers as well on her journey back from teaching. California poet Robinson Jeffers also mentions them in his poem, Such Counsel You Gave to Me, where he wrote, he thought it might be one of the Watchers, who are often seen in this length of coast range, forms that look human to the human eyes, but certainly are not human. They come from behind ridges to watch. Brian Dunning also wrote a little magazine article in the Skeptoid magazine, and he wrote, "Most likely, many different things are likely behind what various eyewitnesses have interpreted as the Dark Watcher sightings." Dunning said in an email interview, "Probably some have been caused by shadows, tricks of the light, or trees. Probably some have been sightings of actual people or animals who were standing up for a moment. Probably some have been people who thought they saw something out of the corner of their eye, which disappeared when they turned to look. Probably have been something. Probably some have been something I haven't thought of. There's no way to know." Some popular theories suggest that the Dark Watchers are merely a site of pareidolia. Oh my gosh. Let me try that again. Pareidolia, the psychological phenomenon where the human brain seeks out recognizable features and familiar patterns and shapes in unclear or unfamiliar images. Okay, I probably said that word wrong, but it's fine. Other people say that they are nothing more than hallucinations brought on by the lack of oxygen that typically happens in higher elevations like mountains. Some people still suggest that the phenomenon is an optical illusion where the observer's magnified shadow is seen on the clouds, which amplifies the shadow's size before it evaporates. This phenomenon is known as the Brocken specter, and was identified in the Brocken Peak of the Harz Mountains in Germany. And here's a little bit of an excerpt about that. When the sun is low, the conditions are right. A shadow is cast by the walker onto the midst, making it appear as if a tall, shadowy figure is watching them from nearby. This was explained by James Felton, a senior editor on the website iflscience.com. And he also says the water droplets that make up the mist can shift around, causing a disorienting effect as if the shadow is moving, sometimes toward the observer, so people are literally being scared by their own shadows. Kind of like my cat. Other people believe this phenomenon can be caused by infrasound, and infrasound is a sound between 7 and 19 hertz, just below the range of normal human hearing, that can be generated by wind, among other things. In 2003, a psychologist and paranormal skeptic, Richard Wiseman, and several of his British colleagues conducted an infrasound experiment, and in it, they subjected some 700 people to a concert featuring 4 pieces of music, 2 of which contained 17 hertz tones at a volume just at the edge of human hearing. As a result, 22% of the audience reported feeling anxious, uneasy, or fearful. Others reported a pressure on their chests or chills running up and down their spines. Wiseman told the British Association for the Advancement of Science, "These results suggest that low-frequency sounds can cause people to have unusual experiences, even though they cannot consciously detect infrasound." Later, a British study in 2008 by psychologist Christopher French found that when he put volunteers in a haunted room rigged with infrasonic generators, most people reported at least some odd sensations such as a presence or feeling dizzy, and some reported terror, which they hadn't expected to happen in the study. But for now, nobody knows for sure whether infrasound, optical illusions, or a lack of oxygen are to blame. Nobody knows what the Dark Watchers are. Nobody knows where they came from. Nobody knows where they go when they disappear. While it's likely that the phenomenon is a scientifically explained appearance, as the brain is playing tricks on people, if they are real, they have been wise enough to leave no tangible evidence of their existence, except for a few offerings of fruit to an author's mother. Okay, so that is going to be all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was an interesting cryptid. I feel like that one can be more explained by science than most, such as the Bigfoot creatures. While those could be bears, I just feel like people report them being too big. But this one could definitely scientifically be explained by those things that were mentioned. And I don't know what I think. I think it would be cool to investigate this further, but for now, that's all we're going to talk about. And let me know if you're from California, if you've heard of these or seen these yourself. But yeah, that's all I've got for today, guys. Next week is going to be Colorado with the Slide Rock Bolters. I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of that. So this will be new information for me. So if you guys enjoyed, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.